Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. Hello, and welcome to my Independence Report. It's so nice to have everybody here. We have a wonderful author with us for the entire hour. Her name is Mary Kay Savarese, correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
I didn't screw it up. That's
Nope.
the first.
Perfect.
And she is an author of note. Her latest work that came out a little bit ago has won 7 awards. She has been a number one bestseller, I do believe, correct?
On Amazon. Yes.
That's a big deal if you're a number one bestseller on Amazon. And the reason, part of the reason is because the name of the title of the book is very interesting. First of all, it's a novel, and it is a murder mystery kind of thing but it's got a very unique title to it. Could you tell us what the title of the book is?
Oh, I would be happy to. Tigers love bubble baths and obsession perfume. Who knew?
So now let me ask you. I know that is that story about the tiger real? Did that actually happen, or
Absolutely. It was the inspiration for the title of my book, and I would so love to share it with your audience, if I may.
You may indeed.
Thank you. Well, I had the fortune of visiting a wildlife sanctuary in St. Augustine, Florida, several years ago. And you might call it an old folks' home for big cats. Now, what do I mean by that? Lions, tigers, panthers, cougars that may have been in circuses or shows, movies, they retire and they do come to this reserve. And during the tour, the last part of the tour, I stood in front of a galvanized tank. This tank was huge, 15 feet, 5 feet high, overflowing with bubbles. And I honestly wondered what is going on here. And within seconds, this incredible creature, a 600-pound Siberian tiger, walked out on a plank, looked as though he was taking off his robe, and slipped into this bubble bath. And I stood there with my mouth open, literally in such awe of this creature. This was so magical for me. And then the wildlife, and then he just swam around, loved his bubbles. Then the wildlife handler sprayed obsession perfume on his tongue, and he lapped it up like a cocktail. And I went, that's it. That is the title of my next book. And I love, as an author, I love to work with quirky titles. I begin there, and then I weave the story around it, that title.
You're going to have to help me understand how you do this art form that you do, because I've tried. God knows I've tried, and I can't figure out how to put a story together and to have it all work out and be seamless and actually make sense to the reader. And your writing style is awesome that way. And how did you accomplish this? Where did it come from?
Thank you. Well, one of the things I learned, and it does help you as a writer, is to think of it as a movie in your head. If you can see it as a movie and follow that, you can get it on paper. And I think that was one of the main things, because just as you're watching a movie, it's cohesive, right? And you can follow it from the beginning to the end. So think of your story, your writing, as a movie in your head, and put it down on paper.
How do you come up with the ideas, though? Because the ideas are so unique. And do they just happen in your head, or do you
Well,
see the whole movie at one time? How do you do that?
what happens as an author, and many of us do this, we carry around a notebook. And through the years, I get a certain name that I love. It's quirky, a certain idea that's quirky. And I will write that down. And then I say, hey, this is the next manuscript I want to start writing. And I said, with the title, I have a general idea of where it's going, pretty much an ending, but that can change. And I work on the characters. And that's where I start. And it usually takes me a good year to sometimes 3 years for one of my manuscripts to complete.
How do you create a three-dimensional creation or a three-dimensional character?
You know, you become them. So I have an idea and I have such a passion and a love for maybe this character or this idea. And I begin there and you live it. You become, so if you have 10 characters within your novel, you become each of those characters and try to live their life. And it becomes easier then to write about them and what they would say and what they would do.
Is it almost like you set up the premise and you insert the character, and then based upon what the character's belief structure and makeup is, that their dialogue almost writes itself? Is that?
No, there are two different ways that I think authors and writers approach things. And one is you have to write, some people need to write an outline. There's another thing called panting through it. That's me. I have a general idea, and I always say to everybody, sit down at your laptop or in your notebook and just start writing. One line. That one line becomes 2 lines. The 2 lines become a paragraph. Before you know it, you have 1 page. If you could write 1 page a day, in a year, you'll have a novel. You'll have a manuscript.
That's amazing that you are so patient to wait for the gestation period of a year to have this creation birthed, if you will.
You know, I love it. And I have to tell you, when I begin writing, I get so excited and it puts me into the moment. And, you know, one of the saddest things is when I finish that manuscript, because to me, you have to edit it and everything else, although you're editing all the way along. But it's like, oh my gosh, like you said, I gave birth to this, I've worked on it, and this joy is over. So, but then I think, I'll have another idea to work on.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because me as a reader, sometimes if there's a novel or a piece of work that I'm really engaged with, I will actually look to see how many pages I have left, because it's like a friend that you're going to lose because
Yes.
you're going to be done.
I agree. And I have to tell you, the other secret is to have a fabulous editor. And I have been so blessed to be working with a fabulous editor.
I think editors, I've talked to several folks that have had editors and several editors themselves, and they tell me that it's painstaking work, but if you have a good editor, they can help you to a great degree, because there's nothing worse than having I was reading a book a couple of months ago, and they got the characters mixed up at one point. Where it was, rather than it being John, and John was not, it was his dad, and they got it mixed up, and it kind of, I lost, and the editor didn't catch it, and so I kind of lost it there.
Oh, I understand completely. Because not only does the editor look for something like that, and the editor does help very much. There's several different editors. You have your creative editor who helps with the ideas. Then you have the copy editor. Then you have an executive editor. There's many different phases a novel goes through before its completion. But during that time, you need to be catching those errors, as you mentioned, Kevin.
Now, I got to tell you, because when we talked about this before we started the show, is that a lot of authors, either self-published or even if they get a publisher,
Yeah.
that it's very difficult. And a lot of novels, they come and they go, and they may sell a couple hundred copies, and maybe that's it, or less than that even, and because that seems to be the standard. How do you have to market yourself and market your work to keep it out in front of people? You must be on social media incessantly.
I do work with a social media expert who is a big help to me because I cannot do everything. But you do need to reach out and grow a following on social media. So it's continuous, yes. And you need to approach, see, COVID put a damper on so many things, so many different levels, that as of right now, it's like the authors are able to wake up again. We're able to get out into the world, but we had a lid put on us because nothing was able to happen. So, but social media, absolutely. An author needs to be on many different platforms on social media.
And I will tell you, the COVID, if it has done anything of a positive nature, it has made this type of format,
Yes.
so much easier to do. And I can do it, and we can have a good time, and it's not time excessive to edit it and to do all that stuff.
Yes.
So I'm real pleased that the technology has moved forward in my medium. Has the technology moved forward in yours? Do you feel like you can self-publish if you wanted to, or would you prefer? Go ahead.
Yep. I would absolutely say if anybody out there listening wants to self-publish, the self-publishing marketplace has changed drastically over the last several years. And I would say go for it, because you can try the traditional route, but honestly, it will take several years. It can take up to 6 months before you even get a response, and it may be a negative response. But if you feel you've got the joy within you and the passion, and you want to move quickly, then self-publishing may be the route for you.
But is the marketing, then the marketing becomes difficult at that point, I would think.
It's going to be up to you. Even as an author, the publishing houses look to authors to market themselves with social media. So coming in as a self-published author, you're on that same platform as everybody else. If you get it out there and you break through, that's wonderful. Let's just hope that can happen for everybody.
Is COVID in your area to the point where you can start doing book signings and public appearances and that sort of thing, or are you still sequestered?
Still sequestered. Things are just starting to open now. Libraries are they're still not even allowing you authors to come into the door at the moment. But things are starting to open, so it's becoming more positive.
Oh, that's awesome. So now, how long did it take you to write? And give us, I don't want to massacre the name of the title, so give us the title of the book again.
I would love to. Tigers Love, Bubble Bats, and Obsession Perfume. Who knew?
How long was that? Was that in the works for 3 years?
No, that one was in the works for a year. That took me a year to write the manuscript.
And then the editing process and stuff. How long was it from that year to when it's actually been published?
It's a good year. And as I said, I'm so fortunate to work with the most incredible editor, Lynn Moon. That process takes many, many months. And then from that point, the creation of the book cover and everything else, it could take anywhere from a year to 2 years. But if you're self-publishing, you're controlling all of that, so you can move that along much faster.
Just got to find somebody who can do great works of art too, to do the cover.
Absolutely, an illustrator, yes. And a publishing house, I mean, they're the ones who do the illustration, but you may not have much say in it then, because it's what the publisher wants. If you're self-publishing, you will have control over every aspect of your book.
Kayla, have you got a question or any thoughts?
No question. I already told her I was intrigued and going to be listening. I'm absorbing all of this because, I'm inspired. I've thought about writing a book before, but never sat down. So hearing, write a paragraph, start with a page, start with another page. Over a year, you'll have a book. So it's inspiring to hear this. So thank you.
Yeah, well, and there are lots of people that do it. Not very many people do it as well as Mary Kay does it, because she does.
Thank you.
She does an extraordinary job. And let's take a peek under the blanket, because you've got a new trilogy that is in the works. What's going on there?
I do. And again, I am very fortunate to be working with an incredible editor and a new publishing house, Indigner House Publishing. And this is a fantasy adventure trilogy. Now, are you ready for the title? As I said, I love to work with quirky titles.
I'm excited to hear the title, because if it's what I think it is pretty quirky.
The Girl in the Twal Wallpaper.
See, now I would have thought that you missed the end of that, like the T, like the toilet. But it's
I knew that's what you were going to say. Now, what is Twal? Okay, I just happen to have a sample here to show your audience. Everybody knows what Twal is. You see it everywhere. Wallpaper, fabric.
Oh, a fabric with a story.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. Wallpaper and fabric with a story. So not only was I obsessed over this tiger jumping into the bubble baths, I am obsessed with Twal wallpaper, to the extent that I do have it in so many rooms of my house that I said to myself, there's a story there. And I sat down and I wrote a fantasy adventure around the girl in the Twal wallpaper.
That's amazing. I have to tell you that I think that a lot of the work that people like you do is inspired from somewhere else, that it just kind of comes to you. Is that are some of your inspiration that just kind of appears, or do you have to dig deep for everything?
You know what? Some people are extroverts. Authors tend to be introverts. We will just look at life and analyze it, and maybe not actually do it ourselves, but I have those ideas within stories. Like, I love fantasy, because we deal with so much reality every day. And I think it's wonderful to get yourself into a story that just brings you somewhere else and gives you excitement and joy. And that's what I love to do.
Well, I'll tell you, in the time of COVID, with so many people having to stay home and stuff, it's nice to be able to, instead of turning on the TV and listening to the news that's not very nice, and there's this and there's that and there's shootings, and that it's nice to retire with a fantasy book that you can just sink into and just create a movie about it in your head. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I do. And it's so much fun. And listen, what I have to also throw in is at my book launch, the book will be published this summer. So at some point during that book launch, I am going to be pairing up with a cat shelter in Jupiter, Florida area. And what they're going to do is name incoming kittens after characters in the book. And we're going to do giveaways, and we're going to try to have local media there and local radio to bring interest to the Cat Foundation.
Oh, that is a wonderful give back that you're doing, because especially with the shelters, because especially non-kill shelters, they are doing the very best they can for their animal population. Mm-hmm. And it's great for them to get placed with a loving family and for their forever home.
Oh, and it's fun. It's just fun. As you say, it's all positive.
And that's the key. That doing that helps you with, I believe, everything. And you've been very successful. But you you're an overnight success that took 10 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And continuing, right? Because 10 years plus at this point, because yeah, you may create something, a manuscript, and then you're blessed and you're fortunate to have it published. But then guess what? You've got to sell it. You've got to market it. You've got to market yourself. So it's always a loving chore, if I can put it that way, to do that.
I think you should change your name to Woman of Many Hats.
No.
Because you have to put on each one of those, and you don't have to be perfect at it, but you need to be adept in at least understanding how you get the word out about and market yourself.
Yeah, one day at a time, one step at a time. I say to myself, if I think of the whole picture, I get anxiety. But if I just think of it, it'll happen one step at a time, just like anything else. It'll be all right.
Well, you and I are in the same boat, basically, except I'm like 6 years behind you, because when this podcast takes off, it will be like years in the making, and then it'll be an overnight success all of a sudden. And
exactly. It's called putting in your dues, right, Kevin? That's what we have to do.
That's right. By the way, we're talking with Mary Kay Savarese. Yeah,
Savarese.
Savarese, and she's written a book again. The name of the book, and I wish I had a copy to show folks, but do you have a copy?
It's right behind me. And
there.
It's right behind me, and I'll hold up another copy. It is titled Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, Who Knew? And it is a mystery romance with a supernatural twist.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to get that book and read it. I don't have a great deal of time, but that's a story for another time. But it is awesome. If somebody can order directly from you, can they go to your website?
They can go to my website. I am everywhere. I'm on Amazon. I'm in Barnes and Nobles. I'm in independent bookstores. And yes, you can go to my author website, www.maryksavarese, and it'll take you to Barnes and Nobles, to Amazon. It'll make your life a little bit easier, and it'll lead you to my social media sites as well. But again, if your audience out there is interested in murder after murder and starting over can be murder.
I like that. That's very true. Starting over can be murder.
It's a little bit of a tease, because the title of the book is very much a metaphor. As I mentioned earlier, those big cats at this reserve were tossed away, and they were given a new chance. And within my novel, basically my protagonist, Angie Pantera, is tossed aside by her man after being married for 25 years for a younger version, and she has to start over. Well, that's what I mean. Starting over can be murder.
I love that. And by the way, some of the reviews that have been posted by you is the U.S. Review of Books says a delightful, rollicking, supernatural whodunit.
Yeah.
Many appear on Mary appears on iHeartRadio, podcasts, TV, cable, local publications, UK radio. I know how you got that.
They're fabulous. Such a blast with those guys. I'm having a blast with you, and they were funny guys too.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've gotten some great reviews on your work, and it must. How does it make you feel having worked so long at it, and getting the results and getting the positive feedback that you're getting? It must make you feel dynamically happy.
I'm very humbled and I'm very honored, and it inspires me to keep moving forward. And when your novel is receives an award, it is truly, truly an honor, because you're competing with many other incredible, wonderful authors out there. And when they, kind of bring your book and distinguish it from others, it's truly an honor. But yeah, it's wonderful. It inspires me to keep moving forward. And maybe somebody's interested in what I have to say in a story.
Well, apparently a lot of people are, because you won 7 awards with this particular book, right?
Yes.
And now, do you get to go up on go? No, this is the time of COVID, so you probably
hit that nail on the head again, Kevin. It would have been so wonderful to receive these awards in person, because I would have gone to the West Coast. I would have gone to Chicago. And everything is done on Zoom now, and they send it to you in the mail. So.
Oh, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to be going down the red carpet and get interviewed and have people say, oh, "Look, there's Mary. That's her," and hold up your copy.
I don't know if they're saying that yet, but hopefully one day.
Do you anticipate? Are you looking for something to get turned into a movie?
That would be absolutely wonderful. I think tigers love bubble bats and obsession with perfume would make a wonderful Netflix series, because of the supernatural twists in it. It can be a series where it'll take place over and over again under different aspects.
It's interesting, because Mary Kay's got some supernatural things going on with her too, but it's great. I love a book that's got this the serial aspect, or the spiritual aspect to it. Was that part of? Did that just happen, or was that part of the initial plan?
Well, as I said, I began with the quirky title, and then the ideas just came together. And once you start, as I said, line by line, page by page, it's not always the way you think it may turn out. All of a sudden, I put a different character here, or something twists here. So it's a journey. And I'm sure all authors feel the same way. It is very much a journey.
I have never been that close to a big cat, a 600-pound cat. What is that like?
Well, I would say I was just 4 feet away, and it's awe-inspiring, because I literally stood there for an hour. They don't want you to video it, but if anybody's interested in seeing tigers and bubble bats, just go on the internet and you'll find it. But the tiger that I was with that day, it was a huge galvanized tank. And as I was saying, you're used to be a tiger being in the jungle, but to see something that acts human as jumping into a bubble bath and lapping up like a cocktail in obsession perfume, it's magical and very inspiring.
I'm just surprised he didn't smoke a cigarette while he was doing that. But it's cool, because now in the reading that I've done, that cat would like to stay in that water for like hours.
The tigers are the only big cats. They will live in the water if you let them. They are the only big cats that do like water. And tigers just happen to love bubble baths. It is the strangest thing. And not many people know this to be true, but I love to talk about it because it is absolutely true.
Now, did you talk to the curator to find out where they got the idea of putting bubbles in the water?
They've been doing it. They just know that tigers love water, and they put in the bubbles, and the tiger loved it even more.
That's really is amazing, and it became the impetus for a great book, and there's more to follow. Now, how far apart are the trilogy is the trilogy gonna come out?
One a year. So this summer will be The Girl in the Twal Wallpaper, And then, it'll be a year after that, and then a year after that. It'll continue with the theme of the trilogy, and then a kind of a sequel to the first book.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm still working on the third book. I have the concept, but that is not completed as yet.
I was going to ask you, because I know the first book is virtually complete because it's coming out this summer, and
yes, it's still under editing, and right. But we're getting there. Yes.
And the second book is kind of 6 months behind it in processing. Would that be fair?
No, the second book, from my standing, is it's a manuscript at this point, and it is almost near completion.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. That's awesome. And then so you've got 3 years of your life already planned out for you.
It's wonderful. It really is. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, when COVID is over, and if it's over, are you planning on doing a national tour to do plannings all over the country?
Listen, if I'm invited to places, that would be absolutely wonderful. But as you've said, with the technology that we've experienced in the past year, I think it's going to be more of a Zoom or Skype or a StreamYard, to be honest with you, because it's it's costly, right?
Oh, sure. Flying around the country costs a lot of money. And publishers, you're working with a publisher, but
yes,
and they're willing to do the marketing, but at one point they want their money back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it makes it difficult for you to do that. So,
yes.
But I tell you, the technology has changed so much that you can do this, and it can be very successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's fun. I mean, you know what? It's quite relaxing if you can sit from your home and speak to the world, right?
Right. Well, yeah, because this podcast has been downloaded in all 50 states and 50 countries around the world. So I could never go to go do that. And I did local radio for a period of time, and that had a real limited audience. So I couldn't touch people, like-minded people throughout the world. And this way I can do that and still be in my bunny slippers.
I love that.
I only have to dress from the shoulders up, if you know what I mean. So
I get you. I get you.
So
Kayla, what do you think? Anything?
I absolutely love that you manifest your creation into these characters. It's mind-boggling. I get the excitement just listening to you because you're just so full of energy, and it's incredible to know that you can manifest it, put it out, and become a part of it. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. But it's fun. It's fun. Mm-hmm. As I say to your audience, if you have a passion for something, you know what your passion is because you can't wait to get up in the morning and get to it, then don't give up on that passion. Just stick with it. And I can almost guarantee you, I'm not even going to say that. I can guarantee you, if you stick with it and it's your love and you have a passion, it will happen for you. It may not happen overnight. And if that's what you're looking for, then you have to give yourself that space and enjoy it and just love it for what it is. And as you said, the laws of attraction will lead you to other places.
And it will work for you, but it may not be in your divine plan or timing.
Exactly.
It will, but it will happen if you stick with it, because I got to tell you, a commitment of 10 years is a lot. There must have been times when you said to yourself, oh, I'm going to go work at Walmart, or no, I wouldn't imagine you ever said that. But there must have been a time when you felt discouraged. How do you get over being discouraged?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be honest with you. There were many times. And you have to build a thick skin, because one of the most discouraging things is when you think you've worked so hard and you think you have something magnificent, and all you get back are rejection. You really begin to think, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with my writing? But there really isn't. Stick with it. Polish, hone your craft, as they say. Get help and stick with it. And there's so many avenues of opportunity nowadays that it can happen for you as well.
I believe it can happen for anybody, but you got to put in the work. You can't do it like in the genre that I'm in, which is podcasting. There are 2 million podcasts out there, and about 3/4 of them have less than 20 episodes, because people go and they put up an episode and they think that they're going to get 1,000 people or 10,000 people to listen to it, and they get their mom and dad. And then and then they work it in a little bit, and nobody else, and so they give up. And if you give up, you lose. If you keep going, you win.
Exactly. Hit the nail right on the head. If you give up, you lose.
And so I would suggest to anybody that's out there, first of all, I want you to go pick up the book and read the book. And I'm kind of I got to write this stuff down. This would be better. The title of the book again is
Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume. Who knew?
Yes, indeed. And
it's a mouthful.
Yes, indeed. And her name is Mary Kay Savarese. Yeah? Correct,
yeah.
Oh, very good. Mary Kay Savarese. And you can go to her website. What's your website?
www.maryKaySavarese.com. It's my name.
Very good. Now, did you have to buy that, or was it available for you when you went and did it?
I think it was available. Yeah. I think I did have to. I'm trying to think back. It's been several years. But as I said, I had to go with the middle initial K, because there are many Savareses from young to deceased. So I had to put the middle initial K in.
And I firmly believe that if your website domain is available, then there's a reason why it's available, and so that you can have it. So you can do some extraordinary things.
Yeah, and I would love to share something with your audience. When you speak about the laws of attraction, and you said, was I very discouraged? Right before a major birthday, I looked up to God and I said, God, when? This was like, I'm approaching 10 years. When is this going to happen for me? What am I going to be, 100 years old? I'll be dead. And and I'll tell you, I signed that contract shortly after that. So the power of prayer and faith is also part of that law of attraction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to believe wholehearted in what you're doing. You have to work for it as best you can. And you put it out there and say, this is what I want, and this is what I can do for people. Please help me. And it is amazing. The results that you can get, because that happened pretty quick after that.
It did, but it took 10 years. So.
Yeah, your overnight success that took 10 years. It's like my favorite group, the Beatles. I don't know if you know who they are, but
I know who they are. Yes.
Everybody that's younger than me has no earthly idea, but they everybody think. Oh, Kayla's looking at me. Everybody thinks that they were an overnight success. They weren't. They started in like 1959, and they really didn't get big until 63. So they spent 4 years in Germany and stuff, and learning their craft, honing their craft.
Yes.
And it takes time. And I'm very glad that you've been successful. It gives a lot of people hope.
Well, thank you. And I'm saying to your audience, if it's your passion and it's in your heart and it's your love, stick with it. It'll happen for you too.
It will, and it may not be in the timing that you think of it.
Exactly.
It will, and you keep honing your craft, because the more you do it, the better you are at it. Yes?
Absolutely. Every day is a learning experience. I'm continuing. Just because you write a manuscript doesn't mean that your work is exemplary. And I mean, you work with an editor, and it becomes very, very humbling and such teachable moments. But guess what? You learn from that. It's actually a blessing to be put down.
But you got to, and you said it earlier, and I agree with you 100%. You have to have a thickness of your skin so that you let those things bounce off and you say, that may be your opinion, but you're wrong. I'm going to succeed doing this.
And you know how many successful people have said that? I would say 99% of them, right?
Oh, my favorite example is Thomas Edison. He failed at 100 times before he developed the electric light bulb. And or a baseball player, he fails 70% of the time when he's trying to hit a ball, and if he hits it 30% of the time, he's an all-star. So we just have to let it go, let it go, and keep working at it, keep doing the best you can, and it'll happen for you.
Exactly. Just do the best you can every day, and keep striving, and pray.
So you're one I suspect that looks ahead. Now you've got this trilogy coming up, and the name of the trilogy again is?
The first of the trilogy is The Girl in the Twal Wallpaper. And that is wallpaper and covering that tells a story. And I've taken that title and I've weaved it into a fantasy adventure. And that'll be out this summer.
See, and I thought that maybe the Twal was another language short for toilet, but I was going to ask you what the lady's doing in the toilet, but I'm glad that this is not that. This is
you know what? And that'll be a wonderful conversation with somebody, right? If they say to me, the girl in the, you're right, I have to explain what it is.
That's exactly right, because some of us just aren't that sophisticated, right? So it works out really, really well. I have appreciated having you on the program, young lady. It is awesome to have you here, and I'm glad you're doing the work that you're doing. That and that you're helping the kittens and the cats of the world with the shelter, and you're doing that with the release of the new book. I think that's awesome as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. This has been absolutely wonderful. And Kayla, thank you. This is terrific. So enjoyable.
And again, if you want to talk to Mary, you can go to her website, which is Mary, KSavarese.com.
Yep, www.
Yes, indeed. And you can go there. You can now they can buy the book directly from you, can't they?
No, not for me, but they can go on my website. It'll lead them to Amazon.
Which is where you were the number one.
My ebook. Yes, my ebook was in the top. Yes.
Now, have you, just as a personal aside, have you thought about doing a audiobook?
You know what? I've thought about it. It's a wonderful avenue to pursue. I haven't pursued it yet, but nobody has come forward to also pursue me. So I wouldn't be an expert whatsoever in how to proceed regarding that, as I have not experienced it yet, but it would be wonderful. Yes.
There's a book that I voiced for a guy by the name of Matt Shea. And if you go to Matt Shea Books, I've got several works up there, and I do voices.
Oh, wonderful.
And stuff. So although I'm rather busy doing this, so we'll see. But if you're passionate about what you do, it will find a way. It will find a way. But I appreciate having you here. Kayla, do you have any closing comments you'd like to make?
Just I'm grateful for what you do. I look forward to looking into your books, and I can't wait to read them. They're intriguing.
Thank you so much.
Mary, I always, before we go, I want to give you the platform and the forum to say anything that you'd like to our audience.
As I've said earlier, just stay positive. If that passion is in your heart to do something, you have that dream, I can guarantee it will happen for you. But as Kevin said, it won't be overnight. I can't guarantee you the timing, but stick with it and it'll happen. And also the other thing is, if anybody has any book groups out there, I am happy as an author, if you read my book, to join you. Nowadays, as we know, as we've said, the technology between Skype, Zoom, or if I'm within your area, I would be thrilled as an author to join you for your book group. We would have a wonderful Prosecco night and giveaways. It would be fun. You can contact me through my website if you're interested.
You know, that is the next thing that's coming, is that people are not going to, and you know, we're becoming a global community. And so
Yes.
people that can be in multiple states, even multiple countries, they can go on Zoom and you can have this really cool moment in time with all kinds of folks.
Oh, it is fun. It is fun.
So we've been talking with Mary Kay Savarese, and her book is called
Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? And my upcoming trilogy, please check me out this summer, The Girl in the Twal Wallpaper.
It's dynamite. The book, by the way, the book is the tiger book is a tiger book, but it's also a murder mystery with a spiritual twist.
Yes, it is a mystery romance with a spiritual or supernatural twist, if you may.
I'm really interested in looking at that. I love the way your mind thinks. So
Thank you.
That's cool. Hey, if you'll stay right there for a second, I got to do this, and then I'll be right back. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.